I like a nice belter at 11 a.m. You know, when I tell you about David and Karen and the success they're having, it's not because they're better than anybody else in this room. It's because they set out to do something, and they've achieved it. What's this, your 6th or 7th Broadway show? There's Sunset Boulevard. And,
yeah, I think it's 6.
That's what I thought. And David, as a little boy, he didn't set out to be on Broadway. He set out to be a musician, a successful musician. And in our prosperity teachings and our prosperity studyings, we're all looking to succeed at our passion. And so I think it's important to observe, if one can do it, I can do it. I'm doing it. I'm doing what is my passion to do. Right at this very second. How about that? And I'm so grateful for that opportunity. I'm going to take the second song that Karen's going to sing today is written by her husband, Paul Rolnick. And so I want to introduce him right now because I'll probably forget to do it later. And I want to acknowledge that. But it's a song on one of Karen's CDs, which you can buy at Amazon.com. I forgot to tell her to bring any today, but there's like 6 CDs too, isn't there?
Yeah.
Yeah, go to Amazon.com. They're all great. I play them often. Because I like a nice belter at 11 a.m.
Anytime.
Yeah, really, yeah. I do not limit the belting songs to 11 a.m., but it's a good way to start your day. It wakes you up. This week's, what do you call it, commandment. We're on the 9th commandment of Prosperity's 10 Commandments by Georgiana Tree West. And since I'm sure most of you now are reading this book, you shall not bear false witness against the source of your wealth. You shall not lie. What that comes down to is you shall not lie about the source of your wealth. You shall not. Not if you want to know that there is unlimited wealth. And wealth that we all know now is so much more than cash. But it includes it in one form or another. Whether it's somebody else spending it on you in an unlimited amount or you have an unlimited amount in your pocket, it doesn't matter. It's all coming from the same source. And there are infinite resources as well. But we never want to confuse the infinite resource with the actual source, because we might fear that the resource would dry up, that the resource would disappear. We must be assured of our source, our divine source, so that we can know, oh, there's always more of that, where that came from. There's always more. There's always more. Now, I call that source God. And it's not, as I said earlier, it's not that God's giving it to me. And there's no point really in asking God for what you are anymore. There's no point in asking God for love when you're already love itself. There's no point in asking God for health when health already resides in you. There's no point in asking God for sanity when sanity resides within you. There's no point in asking God to change the weather. There's no point in asking God for all that. That's trying to manipulate the physical world. Rather than to ask yourself to accept the wealth of mind that you are. To accept the health of body that you already are. What I say to you today is, tell yourself the truth about what you are, and who you are, and what you have. Because I suspect some of you have been lying to yourself. I know, because there are days that I forget, and I lie to myself. I lie to myself about God, I lie to myself about myself, and I lie to myself about you. You know, and the other night I do this 1 page a day journaling, and I do it in my iPad. And I was sitting in a diner Friday night, and I was thinking about someone who I have been having issues with lately because of my opinions about them and their behavior. And because this is a person who can give you great challenges. And I said, okay, God, tell me about this individual. And what I heard back instantly, I'm typing it out, is This individual represents your ego in its most frightened state. I thought, okay, there we go. And I could forgive that in the other person. In fact, I could thank the person for showing me and being grateful that I don't have to be the one. You know, this person has really stepped up to the plate, you know, to behave this way. You know, but think of some of the most hated political figures ever in recent times and in distant times. And you'll realize what they stepped up to the plate to be hated by so many people so we could look in the mirror and recognize our own hate, our own fear, our own stuff. And that means we no longer have to hate them. We can thank them. We can thank all those people, all our parents. You know, some of us, we have to thank our parents for mirroring us in the way that they have, for stepping up and saying, okay, I'm going to be this hateful individual to you, or I'm going to be this non-existent person to you, or this indifferent person to you, so that you can look and see in the mirror when you're ready to look. And I'm ready to look. I'm so pleased and I'm so grateful. You know, some things have happened in the past year. They haven't happened to me, but they've taken place. And if I want to be on the top of my spiritual game, I've got to look into spirit for the answers. I can't look into the people, and I can't look into my wallet, and I can't look into circumstances. I've got to look into spirit and ask spirit, what's going on here? Okay, God, you tell me what's going on. Holy Spirit, tell me what's going on, because otherwise I'm going to make something up that isn't true. And when I make stuff up that isn't true, it's usually trying to make lemonade, so I won't feel as, we'll use the word bad here. I don't like that word, but it's the best one I can think of right now. Bad, so I don't have to feel so bad about myself or about them. So, you know, I'm looking for lemonade, and we're better than lemonade. You know, my spiritual refrigerator does not need lemonade because I have lemons in it. If I have lemons, I need to ask God, what are lemons for? How can I know you better, God, with these lemons? What's the real purpose of them? It can't just be to assuage my ego. It can't just be to settle for less than what I really, really want. And I look at this, and I love this. Stating that our neighbor is ill and discussing his or her symptoms is bearing false witness, unless we also acknowledge the Christ within him or her. So therefore, bless our heart isn't doing that. As we discuss someone else's foibles, as we discuss what's wrong with our friends and our neighbors, oh, but bless their heart. You know, that's not doing it. Poor thing never helped anybody. One of my favorite things that says here, our earthly existence is a strange paradox. We are changeless beings, moving in a realm of constantly changing conditions. Now, I first read that, and I've gotten it for a long time now, that what God is reality. What reality is that which does not change. So, I, of Shawn, the true I am of me, does not change. But my body does. My conditions do. The way I perceive things change. My understanding of God changes, but God doesn't change. My understanding of me changes, but I don't change. I am still good. I was born good. I was good before I was born. Let's go all the way back. Before I was born into this body, I was good. Being born into this body, I am good. And when I leave this body, I'm still going to be good. Now, I can't be the only one. It can't be limited to me. As I've said so many times, do you never notice that the people you don't like have friends? We're all good. We're all good. Capital G, it has no opposite. That is the main crux of my ministry. We are all good. There's so much I don't like within the goodness, because I have opinions. How about you? Anybody have opinion? Who here today has already forgotten they were good at least once? You know, probably anybody who drove here forgot they were good at least once. And then I got here and I had a couple of conversations. Oh, so I forgot 2, 3 more times. Open an email. Oh, forget again. Because I'm busy being right, while they're busy being wrong. And then it comes down to, and now I'm busy being wrong, duh. But I shall not bear false witness against the source of my wealth, is the instruction, if I want to experience my true wealth. If I want to experience my bigness. Let me tell you something about Boys and Girls Village. Most of you know I go there every week and I lead a meditation. And last week I was there, and there was an 11-year-old boy that I had not met before. And I'm talking about this good thing, this good, capital G, has no opposite. He said, is the good you're talking about that, like that we're all equal? I thought, very good. I've never had those terms before, now I'll use it forever. And then I'm talking about intelligence, that we have these 12 powers, power of love and what have you, in our body, and there are places of intelligence within us. I said, who here knows what intelligence is? And he raises his hand again, and he said, is the intelligence you're talking about like all that I know and all that I can know? I said, yes. Yes, it is, and I'll be using that from now on too. I take my teachers where they come. Infinite resources. Infinite resources. My intelligence is all that I know and all that I can know. When I came into Unity, they told me that God was wisdom. It not was, but is wisdom itself. Didn't say God is wise. That's a person. People are wise. God is wisdom itself. And if I'm made in the image and likeness of God, then wisdom is me. I am made in what God is, not what God is made of. Something I learned, that God does not exist. Because to exist is to come out of. God just is. Remember, we have made up the word God. And it's a silly word. And it comes from the vibration. But we made it up. You know, nobody gave us that word. I think the Germans gave it to us, actually. But what the meaning we have given to it, and there aren't any words to, accurately describe God. And no matter how many you come up with, it's not enough. It's the same way when I say, what is love? And you think, well, love is this and this and this, and oh, and it's this and this and this, and it's this and this. So no matter how much you try to describe this stuff, you realize, oh, I'm making it smaller by describing it. When I say what wisdom is, or presence is, or love, or whatever that stuff is, I'm making it smaller by describing it. And so it must be that I'm just it. I am it. And so I'll let it be revealed to me. And I'll let it be revealed to me. And I'll let it be revealed to me. Recently there's been someone who seems to have a grudge against me. And I had to ask myself, if I were asked what this is in my life for, I had to think a minute, and I had to ask, what is this in your life for, Shawn? And I heard instantly, so that you can better understand compassion and forgiveness. And with that, I didn't feel the grudge so much. I thought, oh, this is a friend stepping up to the plate. In The Little Soul in the Sun, Neil Donald Walsh's book, God says, I've sent you nothing but angels. See, I shall not bear false witness against the source of my wealth. I shall not bear false witness, so I can't have any enemies, can I? If God is the source of my wealth, could there be a source of my bad? A source of my poorness? The only source of my poorness could be to forget I'm good. That could be the only source. See, we as the Board of Trustees of Unity Center, we're trying to come into our meetings from a place of remembering God is the source of our wealth, which means being good stewards. But at the same time, we can't talk about that we're poor anymore, despite the fact that we don't see the amount of money in the bank that we used to see. And the funny part is, when we saw a lot of money in the bank, what we would call a lot of money, we went to sleep. Oh, it's all good. Now we're waking up, we don't see so much, and we're really coming into stewardship. We're really seeking to know God as source now. That's the cool part. It's all forgivable. It's all understandable. For most of Unity Centers past, it would have been considered a small, poor church. And then we came in about 8 years ago, and we shifted the consciousness. And it wasn't just me, but people were willing to come along with me with what I was saying. And we started, and it was all up and up and up and up and up. Oh, it was nice. Oh, it was nice. It was so easy. And all the money's coming up and up and up and up and up. And then we went unconsciousness. No, we didn't go unconsciousness. We went unconscious. We went unconscious because it was so easy. You know, it's really easy to go unconscious when you don't have to struggle. When you don't have to think. And you can just spend freely. And you go out and have a good time. Who thinks about stewardship, not to save for a rainy day, but to save for an opportunity? And now we have a new opportunity. We have a new opportunity to look at things differently. So we the board, and I'm one of the board, we can't just come out here and talk about this stuff. Oh, it's wonderful. It's wonderful. We can't treat this as a theory. We have to then take it back there and learn new words. New words to express our concerns about money. New words to express our concerns about anything, because we still have to know that God is the source. And then we have to go home and practice this stuff if we're going to be leaders. And some of you are leaders in other places, and it's not like, oh, that unity, they know so much, they do such great things. Now we've got to get down to brass tacks. We've got to cut. We've got to cut. We've got to be afraid. Do you know how high the prices are? Do you know how much? And it's like suddenly, low prices have become the source of our wealth, or high prices. And fear has become the source of our wealth. Do you want fear to be the source of your wealth?
No.
I don't think any of us can afford it. It is my thought that we can't afford to be poor. It is my thought that we can't afford to think we are separate from God. It is my thought that we can't afford to think that we're separate from each other. You know, I have to laugh. Karen comes up here today. Karen knew me back when I had a reputation for being the cranky sound guy. Don't tell Mom. You know, and I didn't treat people very well because fear was my master. Fear controlled my whole life. Fear that turned to self-loathing, and then turned to insanity. And then one day I said, I don't want to be insane anymore. I don't want to keep being afraid of people anymore. I don't want to be afraid that I might make a mistake. And so I'll treat people poorly while I'm afraid of making a mistake. And with that, I had to seek new ways of thinking. I had to seek new friends. I had to seek new modalities of living. And I did. I sought them. I read the books. I did everything in order to, and I kept praying. I kept saying, okay, God, I need to know differently. I need to know differently. And it hasn't stopped. It's not like I reached a plateau or a peak. It never stops. I see now where a couple of years ago I went unconscious, and now I'm waking up again and saying, what is it you want, Shawn? What is it you want, Shawn? And it's not about a new car. New cars are easy enough to come by. What do you want? I want peace. Well, you have peace, Shawn. Fine, then I want to experience the peace that I have. Not get peace. I want to experience the peace that I have. Fine, then stop hating this person. Stop complaining about this. You want that? First you stop doing this, and then you start affirming the highest good in every single person. You start affirming. You know, when I make fun of people because they don't read this book. We're in the 9th week. And people want their prosperity. I know people come here, they want to experience their full prosperity, but they're not willing to become conversant in the laws of prosperity. People want health, and they're not willing to become conversant in the laws of health. They want spirit, and they're not willing to become conversant in the laws of spirit. But they want it all, and they want somebody to give it to them. And you already have it. I already have it. Nobody is going to give me God. Not now, not ever. They can't. They can be a shining example of what God is. And I can see that, and I think, oh wow, look at that. That's what I want. I want to be like them. But they can't give it to me. They can't say, well, I have it here. You take it. No, they can just be the example of what I can strive for. How many of you here have mentors? Fantastic. Seek those mentors. But seek a spiritual mentor. Seek to have a prayer partner. Even if you only get together each day and say, God is good, right? Yes, God is good. Okay, talk to you tomorrow. That would be sufficient. You've made a connection of God in another human being. I know prayer partners who get together and they get on the phone with each other and they tell everything that's wrong in their lives, and then they affirm the good of God. Okay, bye, see you tomorrow. And it's like, that's a theory of God. That's not a practice of God. But it's better than nothing, I will say that. But it's what it's really doing is affirming your misery. And it's confirming your misery. I want you to hear this. Every time we say, I am poor, we are failing to keep our thoughts single on the truth of God's presence. So consider where you're saying you're poor. This end of the chapter is what is so loud. In every problem of supply, the truth that God is the one source is the principle involved. To work out the problem of supply correctly so that plenty and not lack is the answer, we must make intelligent use of our understanding of God as principle. No matter how false the appearance may be, we can always tell the truth about God. I know how hard this is. Those of you who are parents, some days it must be awfully hard to keep affirming God in your child. Those of you who have parents, it must be hard to always affirm the truth of God in your parents. Those of you who deal with other people in your life. Anybody? It must be awfully hard to affirm the truth about God all of the time. When that microphone went around earlier, did anybody think, wow, I don't get the chance to say this in the grocery store? When the mic went around, but you have to remember, I can say it silently and not on the microphone, but in my heart. In my heart. There's no reason ever again to affirm lack. What we've got to do is aim for the highest and the biggest. Aim for the highest and the biggest me that I can be. Aim for so that I can see the highest and biggest in you, and the highest and biggest in you, and the highest. See, would you be willing that your greatest enemy have all the good that you desire? It doesn't mean you're going to have to do without your good, but you'll get to see them happy. You'll get to see them successful. Last week after we spoke in New York City and I talked about some of this stuff, and a guy came up to me afterward and he said, I really want to do what you're saying, but there's this one guy and he's given me so many problems and I don't know what to do. And I said, affirm the Christ in him. Pray that you can see the Christ in him. I said, because if he's happy, he's not going to give you any more grief. Could you be willing that the people you don't like be happy? Could you be willing that all of the politicians be prosperous and successful? Could you be willing to drop from your mind that means they get what they want? It doesn't. It means they know themselves. It means everybody knows the truth of their being. Or is there somebody that still deserves to be punished for what they did to you? Or what they did to a friend of yours? And the answer is no. But I understand how you feel. Shoot for the highest. Go for the highest. Aim for the highest. Make God your business partner. Make God your spiritual partner. Make God your husband and your wife and your brother and your sister. Make God what you see in the mirror. So you look in the mirror and you say, hi, God. I had a thought in the car the other day. I can't say that without smiling. I was driving down the highway and I thought, hi, God. And suddenly I smiled and I thought, oh, it's so easy. It's so simple. Hi, God. It's really difficult not to smile when you do that. And the smile takes away the crazy thoughts. Would you be willing today, right now, to have your highest thoughts, your highest life, that today be the very best day ever? And you'll let God tell you how it's the best day ever. Don't decide how it is. Just, God, tell me how this is the best day ever. Holy Spirit, tell me how this is the best day ever. Because I'm ready to celebrate. I'm ready to live in the bigness that is me. The bigness that is God. I'm going for it because it's the best. That's really all I have to say today. Thank you.